Hello, this is Mercury. You're listening to Nothing Shocking Podcast here with Eric and Jeff.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'm your co-host Jeff Antid, and with me in Dog Bowl Studio is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on X at No Shock Pod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Mercury from Priest.
Yeah, promoting Priest's new album, Dark Pulse. So I believe we conducted this interview. He was on a what?
Oh, he was on a moving train.
Yeah, this was a first.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, great interview. Let's get to it.
All right, good night.
Good night. Mercury, welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'd like to introduce you, my co-host, Jeff Unteed.
Mercury, thanks for joining us from a train.
Thank you so much to have me on your podcast, Eric and Jeff. Great to meet you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sitting on a train now for everybody, so if it's noises in the background, you know why. You know?
Very good. Well, hey, this is a first. We've never done an interview from our guest.
From a moving train.
Awesome.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. So Priest just released its newest album, Dark Pulse. Can you give our listeners an insight to this new creative endeavor?
Yes, it's our darkest album to date, you can say, because you can hear it in the title, obviously. It's a record that's inspired by a time when I was living in Berlin like 10 years ago. And it was a lot of partying going on, you know, and it's also backsides of partying. And for some reason, those times came back to me during the writing process of the lyrics for this album. And suddenly the theme started to surface. And so it's my little homage to the party city of Berlin, basically, but always with Priest. Since we're a cyberpunk band, we put it on a Blade Runner backdrop, so you will get your sci-fi pop cultural references also, of course.
Very
cool,
good.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about, let's see here, Black Venom. I think that was one of the recent singles. I saw I think you had a video for that. Can you talk a little bit about the making of the video?
Yeah, it was pretty funny actually, because we were playing in Leipzig in Germany at a club fittingly called Hellraiser, and outside there was this massive industrial buildings, dilapidated, and I went out with my handycam just to shoot some footage, and I saw like this, we had to do something, and we were about to sound check in like 45 minutes. So I said to the guys, come out here, I put on the stuff, and you film. So we filmed the video, the dilapidated industrial buildings outside. So I said, I put on the mask, we filmed it at about 35 minutes, and then I edited it at home. But then we needed, of course, computer effects. So I called my good friend Torbjörn, in Sweden, which is a great visual artist, and said to him, "Can you rape this material?" And he raped it, and I'm very glad he did. So we have one of our best videos in Black Venom.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Very cool. So you already talked about the inspirations of Dark Pulse, but when it comes to, I guess, songwriting methods for yourself, can you talk a little bit more about the, I guess maybe the methods that you use from album to album? Is it a conceptual feel, or how does everything kind of come together for you?
Yeah, in this case, because we were traveling and we were touring our asses off basically during the finalizing of Dark Pulse. So it was much more writing at home or on the computer, on the laptop, and sending it to the producer who assembled the stuff more or less. And then when we were back home, we took quick sessions in the studio in Stockholm when we had the time basically. So
very good.
But I mostly write on the computer.
Okay.
Maybe on piano or guitar, then I program it into the computer, so I have a song structure, a skeleton for a song, then I take it to the studio. And then we have a little Christmas when we plug in the real synthesizers, the hardware, and that's where the fun starts for me. I like writing also and writing lyrics, but when you starting to put down the real sounds, then you can hear the album taking shape, and that's one of the most rewarding feelings for me as a songwriter and music recording artist. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. This is your fourth album. Can you talk a little bit about how the songwriting has maybe evolved or changed since your first one, Never Flesh in 2017?
Yeah, I write mostly the same. I have a routine, and I wrote the first album basically. I'm the main songwriter, and sometimes I co-write, especially with the producer Simon Söderberg. And I co-wrote 2 songs, I think, with the former band members, but they were, so mostly I write the bulk of the album, maybe 90%, 95%. And then sometimes the other guys comes with input, and when it's good input, we change the song in that direction also. So, but I mainly write and get ideas when I'm at home, basically.
Very good. Talk a little bit more about, obviously the band's debut album was released in 2017. You were on a good roll. Then the COVID pandemic hits. COVID-19 locks everything down. Can you talk a little bit more about, the transition from being a touring band to then being locked down for 2 years?
Yeah, it was weird. We had a new album coming out called Cyberhead, which was released in 2020, and we had made new costumes that looked super cool. And we were like, should we continue just releasing it, or should we wait? Many bands waited at that time not to release, but we choose to release it, and we did one of those live, streams, and we tried to make the best live stream ever. Not standing in the living room. We did it full on with LED screens in a venue. It's time for Priest to take a little step back and look, what shall we do now? What is the next step? We just kept on recording and releasing stuff during the COVID. So it was it was a break for us, but now then after the COVID we toured more than ever. We've done about way over 200 shows since the lockdown stopped.
Very good. Yeah, I was looking at your most recent tour schedule, and it had ramped up pretty significantly, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so played all the places we couldn't during COVID, and even more that we could imagine. So we're very happy now, and now it's going to be good to get back in the studio and start recording more stuff soon also. So
very good.
Can you talk a little bit about for us that over in the stateside, in the Europe, you got all these different countries. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges of maybe a tour over there?
It's a long distances in the US and stateside. It's like lots of hours in the van. And but we're very lucky because we have a good friends in the band, Julian Kay. So we have toured a lot with them, and they are very organized, and we learned a lot by traveling with them. So now we have a pretty good view of how to make a rock and roll tour roll in over there too.
Yeah.
Europe, of course, is smaller distances, but on the other hand, it's like different countries all the time. So you have to be aware of what you're going over country, borders all the time. So it can be a bit tricky. You have to go up in the morning and stand in line for showing your passport and do all that kind of stuff. So it's two different ways of touring for sure. But you do it for the fans and for the concerts and for what you love. So all those little hardships is futile in comparison what you really get and the reward we get for being able to perform our music. So
very good.
I think at the end of June, you guys have a Subcult festival coming up. Can you tell us a little bit more about that festival?
It's a nice festival in Sweden. It's an alternative festival. You can hear it in the name Subcult. It's subcultural cultures. It's a lot of synth and EBM, but it's also mixed with punk and other subgenres. So it's got a little bit of gothic feel to it, and we love that. And it's the third time we're playing Subcult Festival. We always have a great time there. I'm also going to do some kind of DJ set there, so that's going to be interesting. I never DJ'd before, so so that's going to be my DJ debut also. So.
Fantastic. Nice. Well, yeah, as the summer season has now approached, what will Priest's, summer tour schedule look like?
It's going to look like not touring super much, because we're going to take some time off and start the production of our next album, actually. So we're going to have some time at home this summer, take some time off, and to plan out the new concept for the next album. We had a meeting with our producer 2 days ago, so we pretty much choose 13 new songs to record, which maybe 10 will end up on the album. So and we're going to design new masks and new concepts for the band, and that takes time and a lot of planning. So that's what we're going to focus on. And then we do a European UK tour this fall, and we're coming back to the States in March next year for an extensive tour. So we're going to take some time off, but that's not time off for us, because we're going to work hard also when we
absolutely
have time off. So
very good.
But not as much touring as we did, because we were pretty exhausted. So
I bet. Yeah.
Well, talk a little bit about the imagery, the different costumes that you guys have. Do you work with like a specific costume design company to get those, or are you involved with the design, picking those out? How does it work?
Yeah, I'm pretty much hands-on on all the designs up to this date. But now it's maybe it's too early to say, because we haven't decided 100% yet. But we have a guy in the US that been working on both Hollywood movies and other bands and artists. So we are in discussion of having him this leather jackets. But then we have other guys here in Sweden that we work with to develop the masks. But it's mostly me doing the foundation of the concept, like sketching, and then I take it further to my colleagues, and they look at it. It's also time now to assemble that team and to get everybody started. So it's a very exciting times, and I love it. And we're gonna go maybe the same concept, but we're gonna have more detail, more texture this time. It's gonna be very cool, and I'm just very excited about starting that process now. It's like directing a movie and costumes, you have to. It's a big project.
Well, with Priest released 3 singles prior to the Dark Pulse album release, how important was it for you to get those singles out before the album was released?
Yeah, it was you're building up, right, for the album. So the singles are very important, and we want to build up the algorithms, and get people a heads up that something's coming. And I think it's really great to have some singles out before. We also released a 4th one on the same day as the album, with a video as well called Demon's Call. So check that out if you haven't already. So it's really I think it's important to just as a like to make people aware of that you're having a new album out, and then you have a reason to remind people about that when you're releasing your singles. And you also get a taste of the album, of course.
Oh, very good.
I think I was reading in some of the online on your website and some of the press for the new album. Was there a Priest beer? Is that something you can talk about?
Yeah, I have a very good friend in Linköping, our hometown, that have a brewery, and we decided to make a Priest beer that was exclusive for the release party that we had there. And we'll see if it comes out in the stores for ordering, and if it does, we're gonna let you know.
That's fantastic.
But it was really nice.
So with Dark Pulse being the band's fourth album, can you compare and contrast your songwriting in the now opposed to your songwriting back when the first Priest album in 2017 was released?
It was a fun album to make. It was a bit deeper there, but also bassline driven, more maybe the 80s EBM style in the songwriting. So it's instead of maybe going pop songs, pop chords, then it was more of a maybe looser approach to the new songs. So it's a little more experimental, also a little more of the 90s rave style in it, a little bit of break beats, which we're probably going to continue with on the next album. So, but still we have the bass in 80s songwriting. So
very good. When the recording was finished for Dark Pulse, how hard was it for you to quit tweaking and tinker with things and say, hey, I'm satisfied with the end product, I need to walk away from things?
Yeah, because when you're recording something, it's going to stick with you for the rest of your life. So my tip to everybody out there, because I didn't do that in the beginning also, is like be annoying toward your producer and your mixer, mixing engineer, because the last changes are important, and you should not leave. If you hear something, you should always bring it up on the table and make sure that your changes are going to be there. I make long lists and I send over a long email to my producer and make him, so he knows what to do. But I try to be swift also, not to drag stuff out too long also. So, of course, maybe you're going to hear something that you're not satisfied with, but it's, at least in the moment, it's something I can stand for everything in Priest, basically. Maybe one or two songs I might, maybe not, but most of the stuff we release, I really satisfied with, and I can stand for it 100%.
Fantastic.
I know you guys have done a couple of covers. You did Depeche Mode and The Cure. What is the band's feeling towards covers? Do you plan to do any more, or were those just like one-off projects?
It was actually they are released on Cleopatra Records, and they do the tribute albums. So, and we needed cash, so we got the question and said yes to those songs. Actually, we were I started the program Friday I'm in Love, because we only had two The Cure songs to choose between. The only two songs left was Friday I'm in Love or The Love Cats, which we ended up recording. So I was like, I don't know if we can make one of those two songs, I said, but let me get back to you tomorrow. And then I sat on overnight and started to program the Friday I'm in Love in minor scale, and it started to sound really cool. And then I get back, we can do Friday I'm in Love. And then you only got Love Cats now.
Oh.
And that was a challenge, because Love Cats should sound like a Cure song, but it's very hard to make a cover of it because it's very, very distinct for the Cure. I mean, so we did our best just to try to make our version sound like Priest instead, but the lyrics are very corny on that one, and I didn't really feel very comfortable singing it, but I think we ended up with a pretty fine cover, and that was the purpose. And some people say they love it, so I'm glad we did it, and it's forever going to be there.
Yeah, you did a fantastic job.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
With your origins hailing from Sweden, where do you feel as though, in this part of your career right now, where the band's stronghold is as far as country? Where do you have the biggest fanship at? Is it from Sweden, or is it United States? Where do you feel like as though your stronghold is?
I mean, the States, I would say, by far is our biggest market. But actually, we're more popular in Finland than we are in Sweden, speaking of Scandinavia. So we're going to do 3 shows in Finland this summer. And we have a really strong audience. They write about us a lot more in Finland also, because in Sweden, they don't write so much about us for some reason. I think there can be some reasons for that, but maybe connections with our earlier band we were in, and that's
good.
another story.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Finland per capita is our biggest market, but US by far, that's where we have the stronghold right now, and that's why we've been touring so much over there. So
very good.
We love it there. So
very good.
For our U.S. listeners that don't know, can you talk a little bit about Stockholm and the music scene? What is the music scene like there now?
I don't really know. I just checked bands that play there, but I was at a really interesting festival in northern parts of Sweden. That's where I'm coming back from. So I was there yesterday. It was a little psych rock festival with some experimental music, also some singer-songwriters, but in the new way of doing that kind of music. So it was just a small festival with 40 to 50 people, and it was a really nice time out in the woods, basically. So many people, I think, it's stuff definitely happening, but I'm not. I live at the countryside now, so I'm really not that much in Stockholm anymore. So I basically what I do, I look at some bands. There's a really good electronic artist in Sweden. I watched Emmon, the female EBM artist, really good the other week here. So when I get the chance, I try to get out and watch a concert. But mostly I'm at home and try to write music. So that's what I'm focusing on when I'm home. When we're out touring, we're at concerts all the time.
Yeah.
so you get. I just want to write, basically, and be in the studio as much as I can.
Nice. Oh, that's understandable. I just wanted to take it back real quick to one of the things we lost you on was you were starting to talk about during the COVID pandemic. You guys did a virtual type concert and the online stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that again?
Yeah, it was. We did a live stream, and it was directed by Claudio Marino, a really great filmmaker here in Sweden, and we just plowed in as much money as we could into it. So we had big ass LED screens and our new costumes, but also what we ended up doing with that was to say the Cyberhead album, our second album, which came out during the pandemic, we actually never played live for real, like in a real concert with people, with that era, with those masks and everything. So we used to say now it only existed in cyberspace. So it was never for real. It was only it generated by an AI or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, we have one last question for you, then we'll leave you alone. The mystery of rock and roll with the social media and all that out there, and the internet has taken away from the mystique of rock and roll, but you have brought it back to the forefront with Priest. And can you talk a little bit more about the importance of mystery, the mystery of rock and roll, and how important it is for you to have that in your music?
I think it's very important, and we of course are masked and anonymous, and the demystification of the artists is, I see it all the time, because some artists, they put out what they're eating for brunch, and stuff like that. I at least don't want to see that for my favorite artist necessarily. Maybe some, we try to keep it very cool, and we also have a mythology that we try to create and to care about. And I think it's important, because if you post the wrong stuff, then people will look at you differently. So we just try to post cool stuff, important stuff that means something, and try to just stick with that. And maybe we're doing it some other artists they're posting all the time, all day long. I don't know how they have time to write music, but we try to be a little more sparse and to put out the important stuff to it and not crowd your doom scrolling, too much.
Absolutely. Well, we're out of our allotted time for the evening. Is there anything that we left off that you would like to plug or promote?
Of course. If you're interested in Priest and what we do, please check out priestnexus.com. You can find everything there. And on social media, we call Priest Official, so check us out,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We're about 2.5 weeks behind on our episodes, but when Jeff, the editing wizard over here, gets it all cleaned up, we'll send it to you immediately.
Awesome.
Sound good?
Oh, thank you. And I share on all our channels because this is very important. So thank you guys, and thank you for your patience.
Oh, no, thanks for coming on.
So sorry about the train situation. Thank you for understanding.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.